We all know what it's like to be tired, to be worn out, or even burnt out. If you've ever fallen asleep at work or fallen asleep in class, you know what I mean. And it's not just a physical tiredness, like we need more sleep, but mental, emotional, and even spiritual weariness. We as human beings require rest, and sometimes we don't get it. When we're exhausted, worn down, and weighed down, it's really difficult to thrive. But the good news is, in Jesus, there is a way. We were meant to flourish, to have abundant life. And one of the conditions for long-term human flourishing is a healthy cycle between work and rest. Our minds and bodies are designed for it. We need time and space in our lives in order to thrive. But even though this is true, we often buy into and live into a different story. A story marked by striving, stress, anxiety, pressure, and burdens. Sometimes these pressures come from our own mistakes and choices. Sometimes they come from forces outside of ourselves, like from other people or our society as a whole. All of the things that pull us away from God's best for us is what the Bible calls sin, the ways in which we deviate from God's standard. And a part of that standard is a commitment to rest. In Exodus 31, God says to God's people, "The Sabbath will be a sign between me and the Israelites forever. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed." In other words, God modeled for us a balance between work and rest, inviting us to experience this healthy and balanced life, one that is not ruled by the tyranny of productivity and achievement. The practice of Sabbath is a confession that more work, more effort, more strength, more of ourselves isn't what leads to thriving. We can't work ourselves out of all of our burdens. In a way, rest is an act of trust. Trust in a God who sees our burdens and offers a way forward. Here's where Jesus comes in. We are told in Matthew 9 that when Jesus looked upon the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. He sees our plight and responds with compassion and issues an invitation. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." When we put our trust in Jesus, he offers us relief and rest because he takes our burdens upon himself, just as he carries the weight of the brokenness of the world upon his shoulders. 1 Peter 2:24 says, "Jesus himself bore our sins in his body on the cross, that we might die to sin and live to righteousness." In other words, the path back towards God's best, which includes our flourishing, is paved for us by Jesus. And this path leads to greater trust and a cycle that guides us deeper in relationship with the Spirit of Christ, in whom we have life, and life to the fullest.